I think the best way to sum up this latest Apothecary Diaries episode is just when you think it can't get any better, here comes a murder of the week to say otherwise. For myself, I more or less was like, okay, once the murder happened, right? Because for the most part, the episode, like the past couple, pretty chill. Nothing too crazy, just, easing us in. Very simple slice of life, and then they sideswipe you. Truck Coons comes in and says, hey, bitch, let's isekai your ass. And when you see the death and you hear about how this person was a horrible person, I'm like, okay, yeah, bitch got. I mean, that's understandable. But the longer it went on, and the more bombshells they dropped, only to reveal that the real scumbag had been dead for some time, and the look-alike took her place, and it was a big joint effort conspiracy because, there was probably an element of like, we feel bad for you because she was a horrible person. But when her time was coming up and it would have been exposed that she was, obviously having to leave and it wasn't the real one, well, then she had to get got to further cover up the conspiracy. The way this show, it felt like they dropped like within 5 minutes, like 3 episodes of giant bombshells, yet it was executed flawlessly. The show is a master at having that like slice of life, that like daily life adventuring of Mao Mao and company, only to just remind you in the most believable and brutal way that, despite at face value, the courtyard's feeling like, nothing too crazy. No, like everyone's conspiring, everyone's scheming, and at a moment's notice, someone's going to get poisoned and killed. Let's just hope it's never Mao Mao or Jinchi, because I don't think I'm ready for that. Of course, if you want to support my work, though, and see my full thoughts on these episodes, we do have the Patreon. We got the full live reactions over there exclusively. So, oh man, like, I know it's recency bias, like, I'll be the first one to admit it, but, like, when you see the reveal and how everything came together, it's hard not to think it's, like, one of the Apothecary Diaries' best moments. But really, I do recognize it's probably recency bias. But it does really highlight the fact that even if it is, like, it shows just how freaking cool it is. So I wasn't really sure where we were going to go. Like, for the most part, as they're revealing things, I'm like, the only thing that made sense, I was like, well, she sounded like a horrible person. Like, she sounded like the type of person who I'm surprised wasn't killed earlier. Then, color me surprised, apparently she was. The idea that you do understand where the jealousy came from. Like, imagine an emperor, or like even removing the emperor, imagine anyone just like going after someone who you feel is lower than you, lower ranking than you, and you don't get that attention, you don't get the customers, the same way she does. And despite people saying you look like, well, why not go for the real thing, right? Like, I get where the jealousy and the hostility came from, and the idea that this is what's really cool about the Apothecary Diaries, and it's the way they handle poisons and like different things. Because I'm not really knowledgeable on the topics, I'll be the first to admit. So I'm going off of what the anime tells me, and if they make it sound believable, I'd say, well, that sounds believable, and I think they do a good job with that. So around like the last few minutes of the episode, right? We end up with this very poisonous mushroom that if you even touch it, like it's gonna leave a mark. And apparently even if you inhale the smallest bit, you dead. So the idea that as we're approaching the funeral earlier in the episode, one of the people, the girl who was handing out the flowers to lay at, the coffin, you notice her hands are covered as if like they touched poison of some sort. And I wasn't really sure what they were going to imply. And after they, the one girl ran in and like ripped off the thing covering her face, she looked like a Higurashi jump scare, I gotta be honest. Like, clearly she was poisoned, like this wasn't a cover-up, I thought. So I was like, there's no way, the way they lay those bombshells, I swear to God, like, there's just something so mesmerizing about how the Apothecary Diaries does it compared to a lot of almost episodic episodes of the week or cases of the week or murder mysteries, detective series, whatever it is, right? Because the idea that the first one was just, like, the original was just such a scumbag. We'll never know. Like, this is one of the things I always love about when Mao Mao, like, uncovers things. A lot of the time, she's like, we may never know. I can assume this is what happens, but I can't say for sure. It would make sense to me that, she lashed out, F around, find out. And the fact that all the servants around her were, like, just legitimately felt bad for a girl. Like, I mean, she'll get killed, if she, gets exposed for killing another person, even if it was maybe self-defense. So the idea of once a month, so whether that was Jinshi or someone else coming to visit, she never spoke. Because they were such a lookalike that a few bandages saying like you have an illness of some sort, yeah, that would cover you up. And I think the thing that really like seals the deal, the kind of cherry on top, is the fact that her contract was kind of like ending, like she was set to, her life was essentially going to start. But that's when everything would be exposed, and it feels like, yeah, most likely all the people who saved her in that time then ended up killing her because they were scared of the repercussions that would happen for covering up for so long. And that's just beautiful. Like, it's tragic, it's messed up, but it's such a beautifully executed execution, I guess you could say. It's just, the longer it went on, and this is what I mean though. Most of the episode was chill. Like, there wasn't a lot really going on. It was just the daily adventures, the daily life, and, just cute little moments. And then they sideswipe you midway through and says, hey, there's actually a murder here. It's so brilliant, and I think similar to Mao Mao, we get caught up in this realization that, shit, man, like, sometimes it's easy to forget. There's a lot of conspiring going on. There's a lot of bullshit happening behind the scenes, and at a moment's notice, she could be caught up in the crossfire of someone's jealousy, because literally this entire area is just competing of who can rise above the other, who hates who's jealous of who. And yeah, I mean, we're in the process of educating a lot of people, and yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of people who get salty that people are getting educated as they're forced to sell their bodies. Could be interesting to see how that could develop long term. But either way, this was an incredible episode. I recognize it's probably recency bias, but it's hard not to feel like this was currently the best episode of season 2. And one of the more, like, elegantly handled executions, no pun intended, of a murder of the week plotline that this show has going for it. But damn, beautifully produced. The music, the voice actors, just... there's no other way to put it, man. The show's just tragic, and just when you think it can't get any better, they just keep dropping more bombshells. But, bless Mao Mao. Her obsession with poison and the fact that Jinshi's getting so used to the bullshit. It's almost like he's getting, immune to the poison, similar to her. It's fantastic. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. What did you think of the reveal? Did you see any of this coming? Were you like me, where you're just like, okay, it makes sense at face value, but there can't be more? You let me know whatever you felt down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Michael Latham, Sleeping Knight, Valrix, Adam Dundorf, David Story, Athmil, Leela, and we also have a big boy, Jay. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.